Our data may be used either for proper diagnosis or prognosis vulnerabilities. But on the flip side, there is a possibility of the data being stolen, right? And we may be made slaves of any kind of threats, especially in the medical field. Next, please. Same is the case with content moderation. We have already talked about this. We are talking about the natural language processing. And this technology is extensively used nowadays. Because nowadays, many people are finding it difficult to type the data, type the material. So you have to give a voice command. That's sufficient. You can go on dictating. It will appear on your screen. There are a number of apps. But in the process, when the content moderation has to take place, then whether what exactly is input or given as input is reproduced or not is another important question. So sometimes even defamation may be attracted. What is in fact created by way of AI content may amount to defamation. Recently, a Chinese court held that even copyright violation also can be claimed as far as AI content is concerned. Recently, about 2 or 3 days back, one of the internet courts declared that the AI content is subject to copyright protection. Google Library is facing this particular issue nowadays because most of the content created by ChatGPT is subject to copyright protection, either in maybe Google or in some other private domain. Next, please. And even in hiring the persons, I think that was pointed out by one of the speakers in the inaugural session, and do come across the use of artificial intelligence. But there is a danger. This data may be used for some other purpose. Then sometimes there may not be any level playing field. The data which is fed into the system, which is processed by some AI entity or AI program, may not be totally impassionate or equal or fair. There may be a bias. Especially this has been noticed in United States of America while hiring people who are not from the white origin, especially non-whites. You come across even discrimination against the Indians and many blacks. Is another same in the case with education. And we are talking about GMAT and GRE also. AI definitely makes, in fact, a wonderful use at the same time, possibility of misuse can be seen. If AI can be used to reduce the human discretion, nothing like it. But the human feeling will be missing. Human compassion will be missing. Right? And proper analysis would be missing. It will think only like a machine, but who knows, we are talking about the neural science, the developments in the neural science. Again, they might come to the rescue of human beings. Next, please. Some of the milestones which we have achieved as part of AI today, for example, many of the employers are deploying artificial intelligence, including the private sector as well as the public sector. You talk about deep mining, you talk about big data analysis, and when you have thousands and lakhs of entries, how to analyze? If it is 100, fine. If, for example, you are given a particular challenge as to produce some kind of digital content on the same topic, human evaluation may be very difficult. The same thing may be moderated by AI. The best content may come out. So, but during that process, we come across different issues. And one milestone I already mentioned, for example, deep loop, I mentioned about it. Then look at the code one. AI system started classifying skin cancer as good as a certified dermatologist. So whatever you input and the net result will be the proper diagnosis. Similarly, the machine translation system. Anuvad. So Anuvad, that's the app developed by the Supreme Court to translate many of the in fact, judgments into 9 regional languages. That also employs artificial intelligence, right? Then similarly, Google's DL system almost achieved 70% accuracy while grading prostate cancer. So especially in the medical diagnostics, the AI has been used, and Positive side is proper diagnosis in number of cases. The negative side is loss of sensitive personal information. That may be handy for maybe R&D institutions, pharmaceutical companies, insurance companies, so on and so forth. Next, please. So this I will skip because this is not right for IT policy. Then when we are talking about the other aspects, because I am yet to touch upon the data privacy. When you are talking about the data privacy, I mentioned about right to be left alone, which had, in fact, a long tradition, even in countries like India, US, and elsewhere, because everyone's home is gas is fine. And you look at our constitution, it speaks about freedom of speech and expression. It speaks about certain aspects with regard to the safeguards against criminal conviction. Then right to life and personal liberty, every student knows. But you can read right to privacy as an integral part of it. You have the Information Technology Act 2000, which touches upon cyber privacy also. I will try to discuss in one slide. Similarly, RTI Act, information can be disclosed by any public authority relating to a public authority. But right to privacy is one of the restrictions under Section 8 of the RTI Act. Similarly, we have the DPDP Act, the Digital Personal Data Protection Act, that is yet to be fully operational, but it's a wonderful legislation in India which talks about the personal data protection on the digital, field, in the digital area. Then, for example, right to privacy in USA was recognized as a very important right way back in 1973, popularly known as the abortion case. But today, in fact, right to privacy is diluted to a great extent in a recent judgment called Dobbs case, which overruled, in fact, Roe versus Wade. But if you look at US Patriot Act, US Patriot has got nothing to do with patriotism. It has a full form. This act was passed by the US Congress after the attack on Twin Towers, right? The World Trade Center. And this also enables the government to intercept the communication, that is the flow and portability of the data, including the digital data that is still going on. Then we have the position in European Union. We are talking about Artificial Intelligence Act. This data privacy, take the case of Information Technology Act 2000. There are at least two important provisions under the IT Act. Section 43A, you can see, it speaks about the protection of sensitive personal data and information. And any data fiduciary, any person in possession of the sensitive personal data, any company, any employer, any agency, any third party would be held liable if such a data is leaked or destroyed or shared without any authorization, and failure to protect the data would be subject to payment of penalty, compensation, so on and so forth. That is one. Unfortunately, there are very few instances of the companies being held liable for, in fact, destruction or sharing of data without any authorization. Then from Section 78, which talks about protection of personal information from unlawful disclosure in breach of contract. Because you see, there is a contract. When you are traveling in the digital world, when you want to access something, everything is subject to some kind of click-grab agreement. Click-grab, not only in e-commerce but even in other aspects as well. Only when you sign or click on I agree, you will be given access to go further. Others you will be denied the service. That is itself, the consent to get access to your personal data. But if there is a breach of such agreement, then there is a penalty remedy under the Information Technology Act. There may be imprisonment up to 3 years, or it may be up to 5 lakh rupees or more. Next. Then DPDP Act. This DPDP Act, Digital Personal Data